Jamie, welcome. Kind of a triple whammy for Home Depot today. A sales miss, home builder sentiment at a 13-year low, and retail sales coming in worse than expected. What do you do with the stock?
Yeah, well, I think from our vantage point, we've thought the shares were a bit overheated for a while now. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that we think the normalized earnings power of the business is significantly lower than what we're seeing in the current period. So I think from an investor perspective, we'd be a bit more cautious about initiating positions on shares. At this point, we do still think it's a very good business. There's a lot of cash generation. I can understand why some investors may want to hold the position, but as far as building a position, I think we are sort of on the sidelines at this point.
What happened to everything consumers doing well right now? We saw it in the Walmart numbers, very strong. So much fiscal stimulus in the system. The savings rate was really high that consumers had during the pandemic. They're starting to spend it. They're getting out of their homes. They're getting vaccinated. Shouldn't Home Depot be a beneficiary, or was that pulled forward just because of the housing momentum we've seen over the last year?
I think you have two different factors. First, people have been liberated from their homes, so they are back spending money on things like travel. If you've seen the TSA numbers, they've been exceptionally strong in recent weeks at roughly 70 to 80% of 2019 levels. And then, there has been this shift, and Home Depot sort of articulated it today, that the pro business has come back at the expense of do-it-yourself, because the do-it-yourself consumers are back doing other things. So I don't think all of the news was necessarily bad, but I do think there is a rotation maybe in who is spending at Home Depot and what projects are being undertaken. And I think that was pretty clear in the category spend, where you saw kitchen and bath coming in strong, and things for the DIYers, the paint categories coming in a little bit weaker this quarter.
More broadly, when you see that consumer confidence number, the retail sales number, was that a sort of shocking negative surprise to you, or could it still be in line with the general thesis, which is the consumer is super strong, but summer months have a bit of volatility as people spend in different areas?
Yeah, so I think when you look at the overall retail sales number year over year, declined pretty precipitously as far as the growth rate's concerned, but the absolute number is still decent. And so the consumer is still strong. And when you strip out autos and gas, the number declined slightly less dramatically. And so I don't know that it's all dour. Obviously, we have unemployment at very low levels. We have consumer spending pretty high. I think housing has been disproportionately impacted by things like existing home prices going up. If you look at the last few months, those have been up in the mid 20% range. And then, so rotationally, people are spending in different ways than they were a year ago. And we're lapping very difficult numbers over the back half of the year. So I think what we're up against looking forward for the rest of 2021 is a really difficult backdrop to grow both operating profit and sales on top of what was delivered in the year-ago period.
So you have a pretty diverse coverage list among the consumer names, the toy makers, some of the e-commerce names like Wayfair, which is actually holding up quite well today and has done well. Where do you want to be within the sector?
And I think we have some really interesting values in names like Malibu Boats and Polaris, which are both trading in pretty significant undervalued territory. There's great backlogs in the boat business. There's strong consumer demand. It caters to the outdoor lifestyle. So there are a lot of consumers that are interested in participating in that part of the outdoor landscape, and more we're seeing products come out at accessible price points. I know BRP just launched an entry-level pontoon last week, and so as we see wider demand, that backlog grows, and it supports shipment demand for a much longer period of time. So we like the power sports space.